March 2022, Salt Lake City, Utah.
Hi, this is Janet, and I'm Sly. Back in 2016, we both decided it was time to stop working, buy an RV, and start traveling the country and the world. And once the RV was pretty much the way we wanted it, we started our travels, and we've been doing it ever since. So join us as we explore this country and the world, and maybe we can even meet up with some of you along the way.
Well, this week we decided to leave Las Vegas and head up north to Utah to spend an entire week skiing up in the Salt Lake City area. Well, the snow this year may not have been all of that great, but as we got closer and closer to Salt Lake, we started to see the snow-capped mountains we were hoping to see. This ski trip is extra special. Not because we're skiing up in Utah, we've done that before and the skiing there is good, but this ski trip is extra special because we are meeting our good friends Joe and Mary Ellen. Back in the 90s, Joe and Mary Ellen belonged to the same ski club I did, and back then we did a lot of skiing together all over Europe. And yes, we also did some good drinking. And this ski trip is gonna be like the good old days. Lots of drinking, lots of skiing, and lots of just having fun together. I had forgotten how much stuff 4 people need when going up to the mountains to ski. But we packed it all up, made our way up to the mountain, and in no time at all we were having our first drink getting ready to ski. Joe and Mary Ellen live up in Spokane, and they ski a lot. And here comes Mary Ellen coming on down the slopes early morning on our first run of the day. Janet and I spent the last many years in the warmth, so we haven't skied. But that didn't slow down Janet as she came roaring down the mountain doing really well and enjoying this new fresh snow. Janet and I enjoy the groomed slopes. Joe and Mary Ellen, well, they prefer the powder and skiing through the trees. That doesn't mean that they don't do groomed slope. And I think for us, this time they spent more time on the groomed slope than they usually would. And that was fine by me, because I wanted to ski with Joe and Mary Ellen. And here I come, screaming down the mountain, trying to catch up to everybody else. Janet and I do a lot of hiking, but we found out right away that skiing requires a whole different muscle set because our legs were burning before lunch even rolled around. So here I am, chasing Janet down the mountain, watching her ski and trying to stay upright while I'm doing it. It's important to note that I was watching Janet, and then all of a sudden, oh, tree. Time to hurry up and zig to the right and then curve back to the left, and there she is. The skiing during our first day at Snowbasin wasn't bad. It was a warm day, and by the time noon came around, the snow was kind of slushy. We got off that mountain at around 3 o'clock and made our way home to do a little bit more drinking and reminisce about our first day of skiing together in too many years. The next day of skiing took us to Solitude. I enjoyed skiing this mountain back in the day, but back in the day was a long time ago, and I guess I forgot what this mountain was all about because our first run of the day we got lost and ended up in this wooded cliff of a place. Janet did not come skiing with us today, and right now I'm glad she's not here because this is not fun. Okay, it is fun, but it is scary and it is hard. The snow is this crusty snow and ice combination, so it's really hard to ski on any way you look at it. But this run, and really I shouldn't call it a run, but this run is steep, and the trees are all over the place, and there are stumps sticking out of the snow because we just haven't had that much snow up here. For me, this run wasn't so much about technique or looking good or skiing well. It was all about surviving to make it to the bottom. There were no quick, nice turns. It was traverse, struggle to make a turn on the side of this snow-covered cliff, avoid a tree, and try to traverse a little farther and make it down the mountain a little further. And from here, I can see the end down there, so we're getting close. All I have to do is avoid those stumps, back up a little and try to sneak through them, avoid some of those low bushes that are all over the place. Oh yeah, and the roots sticking up from under the snow because there's not that much of it, and try to survive this last little bit of a cliff, and then I'll be just fine down there on a nice, well, kinda nice groomed slope. I was doing pretty well. I mean, I was not skiing with grace and style. I was side-slipping most of the way, but I didn't have to take off my skis to walk, and I was making it down the mountain. That last bit got even steeper, and for those of you wondering, no, that is not where your skis should be pointing. Ah yes, so close. I almost made it. But now, on the side of this cliff, I need to discombobulate myself and get back on my skis. I got up, made it down to the slope, and looked up at the cliff we just came down. What were we thinking? Obviously, we weren't. After a brief rest on the side of that groomed slope, it was time to point our skis downhill and make our way to the lift because we still have lots of skiing to do and the rest of it has got to be better. I will tell you, I haven't felt this good getting into a lift line in a long time because I know I can almost sit down because I need to sit down. My legs are on fire. So after surviving a run like that, what do you think we had to talk about on the way up on this ski lift? Well, we just finished the slope of death. I would like to say that we survived, but I'm going to say that we
we're not
just...
sure yet.
No, it was just barely survived.
I might have pooped my pants.
Oh, I did poop my pants. There's no doubt about that. Holy shit, that was the dumbest one done in a lot of years.
We need map reading 101.
No. We need serious drinking 601. Master's level class in drinking coming up at the top of this list.
No, right here.
Surviving that run? Well, we deserve a drink. And we took one. But then we looked back at the mountain, went up the ski lift thinking we'd find a better run. And danger, cliff area. Where was that sign during the last run? I'm telling you, I really could have used it. We are not going to the left. Let's go in some other direction because the left, oh yeah, that is most definitely a cliff that we do not want to ski again. So this time, we did not choose poorly. We chose well. And we followed Joe instead of me as he took us down the side of the mountain on a groomed slope. Yes, it was steep, but we liked that. More importantly, it was groomed, and I liked that even more. Skiing down this slope was child's play compared to what we just finished, and man was I finally having lots and lots of fun, and best of all, I wasn't scared anymore. I was actually comfortable and skiing. I was not the only one because here comes Joe and he is actually styling. He's just making his way down this thing at a good clip, under control, and not having to dodge trees and rocks and bushes. Good job, Joe. Keep it going. Right behind Joe was Mary, and she was just skiing down this mountain. She was relaxed, and she was having fun, and she was not in fear for her life on this slope. And bringing up the rear, as I often did, was me. And here I am, just chilling and making my way down. Oh, not a concern in the world today. So these runs we did might have been groomed, kind of. They were steep. And there was quite a few times where you really had to keep control of your speed, because on something this steep, it's easy enough to lose control and start moving way faster than you should. But these are my favorite kind of runs. Shortly after noon, the weather turned bad, and man, you could not see the skis in front of you. So that made it the perfect time to stop for lunch and a beer. After lunch, the weather cleared up and we were able to make several more runs before calling it a day and leaving Solitude. It's a new day, but today is a little overcast and it's a little snowy and it's a little cooler than yesterday, but none of that matters because we are on top of the mountain and we are going to ski. The weather today on the mountain, and by the way, we are skiing Powder Mountain today. Anyway, the weather changed like every 10 minutes. On one run, you could see clearly. I mean, the definition wasn't there, but at least you could see the people downhill from you. And then, on the next run, the fog rolled in, and you could see absolutely nothing. On these runs, you were skiing by feel. You couldn't see the bumps in front of you, you couldn't see anything in front of you, and every single turn was a bit of a surprise. But that's the way skiing goes. Sometimes you have clear skies, sometimes you don't, and you learn to ski in just about any weather. But it doesn't matter. Because as one of my good friends once said, a bad day of skiing is still better than a good day at work. And this is a good day of skiing. As we were getting up to the top of this lift, and it is up there just ahead of us, even if you can't see it, it was getting close to lunch, and it was time to make some decisions. Janet and I were having some issues with the wax on our skis. It seems that most of it got rubbed off at some point in time, and they were getting really sticky. I mean, one moment you're moving just fine, then all of a sudden the ski just kind of gets stuck and you get thrown off balance. So Janet and I decided it was time to take a little bit of an earlier lunch and run our skis into the shop and have some wax put on them. We dropped off our skis and had lunch with a view outside looking up at the slopes, what we could see of it. Joe and Mary joined us after just a little while, and we all had lunch and a beer together while waiting for our skis to finally get finished with the wax. The skis were waxed and returned, and we headed back up to the top of the mountain to do another run and see if the wax job actually worked. The new wax on the skis helped. But look, it was a $10 wax job, and that is not a great wax job. So, although our skis were running better, they were not running anywhere near as good as they should have been. So, it looks like we need to do a little bit more work on our skis before we come on up here tomorrow. For those of you paying attention, you may have noticed that Joe took the lead on just about all of the runs up here on Powder Mountain. To be honest, Joe took the lead on most of the runs since that run at Solitude a way back. Now, I can't really say I blame him. It's only the safe thing to do. And to make things even more interesting, Powder Mountain has no maps. No maps at all. So, you're really struggling to make it down the mountain. Now, just to clear things up, when I say no maps, I mean no paper maps. They do have signs up along the way to help you find your way down, but the signage isn't all that great. And they do have billboards on the top of every lift with a big picture of the mountain and a giant ski map that more often than not makes no sense at all. So, Skiing up here is rather interesting. You really never know where you're going or how you get to where you want to go. So you can't blame these folks. I am not a good person to lead because I end up in terrible, terrible places. So, Joe, lead on. You know the way. And Joe did lead on. And I'm happy to say that Joe never took us into any place really, really bad. In a way, we owe our lives to Joe. Because had they followed me, oh my goodness, where we might have ended up on this mountain with no maps at all. The weather today never did change, but that's okay. We still had a good time skiing. But eventually it got to be a little late in the day, and it was time for us to make our way down the mountain to the car and call it a day. Because tomorrow is yet another day of skiing. We woke up to a surprise on our last day of skiing up here in Salt Lake City, Utah. It seems that it snowed, and it snowed rather heavily overnight. This is a welcome surprise. We are looking forward to a great day of skiing up at Powder Mountain as we pack up the Jeep for the last time and hit the road. This is where we encountered our second surprise. The roads were really, really slippery and we weren't going to be able to make it up to the mountain. So we got on a bus. Utah runs a bus up to just about every ski resort in this area. And since the roads were too bad for my Jeep to get up to the top, because I don't have winter tires, we took the bus and made it to the top of Powder Mountain and we were able to start skiing. So, a couple of things. First of all, early this morning, before we came up here, Joe took some of his wax and waxed my skis and Janet's skis. And boy, did it make a difference. Our skis were running really, really well. So thanks, Joe. Without you and your wax, this last day would not have been nearly the fun that it actually was. The second thing, we did get a lot of snow up there and there was some beautiful powder on top of the slopes. Skiing was better than ever. No longer were we slipping and sliding down the mountain, we were actually skiing down the mountain. And just to make our last day even better, the weather changed completely. The sun came out. We saw the mountain. We saw where we were skiing, and we were having a blast doing it. Although it was very, very cold, that didn't matter because the sun was out and the skiing was the best we've had since we came up here. This day couldn't get any better, but it did because I tried out a new camera this time around. It's one that I can clip to my jacket and it's supposed to stabilize the view and make the whole video less bouncy. And I've been having a problem with it since the first day. But today, I finally got the adjustments just right and I've got video that is nowhere near as bouncy as some of the earlier videos. Today, Joe and Mary Ellen split off from us because they really wanted to ski the powder and the trees. There's Mary Ellen making her way down a fresh powder field. Their tracks are the only tracks in front of them. And those trees, well, they seem to miss every one of them. I don't know how they did that. I'd probably hit every one of them. That's why I stay away from the trees. And here comes Joe. He's the bottom one. He is just ripping it up. Powder and trees seem to be his element and he enjoys skiing this kind of stuff way more than skiing on a nice groomed slope. So I'm glad they split off from us because they really deserve a good day of skiing in their own element. I should also point out that Joe and Mary Ellen bought skis specifically for this kind of stuff. They work best in powder. The skis we had don't. Our skis were designed to work more on nice groomed slopes. And here comes Janet down one of those nice groomed slopes. Well, kind of nice and groomed. Just like everything else, the right tools for the right job, and Janet is making use of those tools. Looking great coming down the mountain. Now it's my turn. I decided to pick a track down the side of this area that's just got powder and bumps and a little bit of everything. It's one of the harder runs I did, I think, that day. This is not one of the areas that they groom, so hitting bumps is normal, and every now and then as you come along there's a big old ravine in front of you and you have to drop into it and pop right back out the other side. It makes skiing lots of fun. It's interesting. The fresh snow that came in overnight and the beautiful blue sky, oh, that just changed everything. The mountain is so much friendlier and easier to ski. We did some steep slopes and then we just took some nice, easy, gentle runs where we could rest up our legs a little bit and just enjoy the sunshine. And speaking of legs, yesterday they really hurt. Every bump I felt. Today they seem to be doing a whole lot better. They aren't as achy as they were on the second day, and I feel a whole lot stronger. Maybe the muscles I need to ski are finally figuring out how to work and keep me upright and going down the mountain without burning themselves out. Now with skiing, you get what you get. Today we got a beautiful day with fresh snow. Now I know I said you get what you get, but that doesn't stop me from wishing that we'd get this every single day. But it doesn't matter. Every day was a great day, and as far as this trip goes, today was the best one of them all. Now I think I need to address something that all of you have been wondering about for a long time, and that something is my hat. My hat looks like a glove, and I bought it back in Austria in 1994, and it is my signature mark. The front of the hat says, "No glove, no love." Take that to mean whatever you want, but don't forget, I was in my 30s back then. I wore that hat on every ski trip since 1994, and I expect to wear it until my last ski trip, whenever that happens to be. And with that burning question answered, I can now finish up my last run of the last day of our ski trip to Utah. Once down the mountain, we headed into the bar to have one last drink while waiting for the bus to take us back down to the car. This would have been a fun trip, no matter what. But what made it absolutely great was spending time with Joe and Mary Ellen, our friends from Aviano Air Base, Italy, and the ski club. Joe, Mary Ellen, thanks for a great time. And let's not make it this many years again before we get together and ski. With that, we said goodbye to our friends and the mountains around Salt Lake City, Utah, and made our way back down to Las Vegas, Nevada. We went to 3 different ski resorts while we were up here, and as usual, you can find a link down in the description below. We enjoyed our ski trip, and it was different from all the other trips we've taken since getting into this RV lifestyle. Janet and I hope that you all enjoyed this video and that you continue to join us as we explore the country and the world. And with that, I'll end this video, say goodbye, and finish off with, I certainly hope that we'll see you and that you continue to join us as we explore our next stop.